Alex Earl here at Pure Plastic Surgery, and it's Hump Day with Dr. Alex Earl. This is the time I get to spend with you guys going over some plastic surgery topics, and of course, I'm happy to answer all your questions, okay? Just a little reminder here, guys, if you like what you see, if you like the Hump Day lives and all the educational, supportive content that we have here, please go ahead and make sure you put in lots of likes, lots of little hearts, and I love those dinosaurs. So TikTok, dinosaurs all the way, all right? But today, as usual now, we are live on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Okay, so we got all three, all three platforms going here today. And it's important because today I want to talk about Pure First. What do I mean by that? Well, we, and by we meaning our whole team here at Pure and myself, Dr. Alex Earl, we've done a lot of things. We were the first or one of the first to do a lot of things here. And you may not know that now because now in 2023, there's other people doing some of these things. And you may not know where it came from, all right? And it came from right here at Pure. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the things where we were the first or one of the first to do it, just so that you're aware of that, okay? So many of you guys have heard me talk about the ultrasound, right? So I'm gonna divide the first into actually two broad categories. One is kind of technique and things that we do in the OR, and then the other one is about kind of education and also how it pertains to our patients and social media as well, okay? All right, so I think we'll start with the technique and then we'll talk about the education, okay? So ultrasound guided BBL. Now, I wasn't the first one, the very first one to do it here in South Florida, but I was probably the second one, and certainly the one that put it out there on social media. And now, today, 2023, the surgeon that's done the most ultrasound-guided BBLs in probably the entire U.S. I've done over 2,000 ultrasound-guided BBLs since 2019. So I started using the ultrasound way before it became a thing, way before the Florida Department of Health said that, put that as a mandatory under the emergency order, which has now expired, unfortunately. So I started doing this way back in 2019. Why? Because it made a lot of sense to me, okay? There were patients that were dying due to this procedure, and they were dying mostly because of a fat embolus, meaning that fat was getting deep into the muscle, down into the gluteal veins, and then traveling from there to the lungs, causing a fat embolism and death, okay? And that's why I said, safety has been always our number one priority. How can I make this procedure safer? And then we discovered and started using the ultrasound, okay? The ultrasound basically turns a blind procedure into one where you can see, and now I know exactly where my cannula is. I know that I'm putting it in that safe space between the skin and the muscle, okay? And that there's very little to no risk of fat embolism when you do that. So we are certainly one of the first to be using the ultrasound. We've been the most prolific using the ultrasound, the highest volume in terms of ultrasound guided BBLs, over 2,000 done by me and now Dr. Vidal here at Pure Plastic Surgery. And of course, this is one of the things that we were the first to do, where I actually I hope that other people would imitate, right? You guys have heard that saying, imitation is like, the finest form of flattery, right? Well, I would love for all surgeons to imitate this, okay? Why? Because it's safer for our patients. And will that, perhaps dilute my brand or whatever? Yeah, maybe, but it's not about that. It's about patient safety, okay? Not having any more deaths due to BBL. So to other surgeons out there, if you're gonna imitate me, imitate this, please, okay? Use the ultrasound for your BBLs, all right? Okay, next, body type. We were certainly one of the first to use body type here in Florida. Back then, what was much more popular was the J plasma, or Renuvion, as it's also known. Okay, and since then, J plasma's had some issues. There were some FDA issues with it as well, and basically, just kind of the complication rates have been higher. And with body type, actually, once again, what I liked about the body type was the fact that it had a feedback mechanism which tells you if the skin is getting too hot. So it beeps at you if it's getting too hot, therefore you can then back off the body type and prevent any potential issues like burns, okay? And that's what I liked about the body type, and that's why we started using it. And now, today, 2023, we are the #1 body tight clinic in all of Florida. Nobody does more body tight in Florida than we do, okay? But body tight is growing throughout the US and internationally. Now, a lot of the big names out there, some of the names, the big names you may have heard of, like Dr. Oyos down in Colombia, who's the godfather of HD lipo, they're using body tight as well. When I went to the ASPS meeting, the American Society of Plastic Surgery meeting, and they were talking about what to use for skin tightening, virtually everyone in that meeting was using body tight. All right, so once again, thinking ahead, thinking about the safety of our patients, one of the first to use body tight, and I do highly recommend this machine, and we still use it very, very much today. But not only that, now we're expanding into like the world of body tight. Of course, we also use the face tight. We use the Morpheus 8 for the face, and we're going to be getting Morpheus body, which is that basically for the body, right? Hence the name. But mostly for the abdomen is a great place to use it. But we can use it in the thighs. It can help a little bit with cellulite and things of that nature. Okay, and what it is, it's microneedling on steroids. Microneedling using radio frequency energy. That's the Morpheus body, and that's all part of that body tight family. Okay. All right. Getting back down to technique, we're one of the first to develop that signature upside down heart shape. Okay, I know I'm known out there for that shape. A lot of people say, "Oh, I want Dr. Earl's signature upside down heart shape." That's the shape that the booty looks like from the back, right? When you kind of have where you come in and then kind of like that, right? That beautiful, oh yeah, is that a good drawing, right? Believe me, I can sculpt better than I can draw. But that's our signature shape. It's been around for a while. Of course, now other people are trying to imitate that. And that's okay, because what I like about the signature upside down heart shape is that it's a beautiful, long-lasting type of shape. It's a shape that's going to last for many, many, many years. Nowadays, we're seeing a lot of people coming back for BBL reversals because they had shapes that were created that are not natural looking, that look very, very kind of surgical, with big lats or big shelf booties, and that's not a long-lasting type of thing. And so now we're having a lot of those patients come back for BBL reversals where we're trying to change the shape. When you have that beautiful signature upside down heart shape, that's a shape that's meant to last for years and years to come. Okay. And with that, of course, we were the first to talk about enhanced natural results, right? When you do that, you have to make your result particular. You have to make it, particular to that unique patient foundation, okay? It's not cookie cutter. You're not just putting a whole bunch of fat and a whole bunch of lats and a whole bunch of shelf booties and stuff like that. You need to take that particular patient's foundation into account, okay? So then you can create and mold a beautiful shape that's going to last for many years to come. In order to do that, then you have to create enhanced natural results where you create smooth contours coming in from the back, into the waist, out to the hips, and very importantly, back down into the thigh. You have to make sure that the thighs are able to carry whatever volume you're putting in, right? You don't want like little thin thighs and huge hips and buttock. They can't carry that. It's not a long-lasting shape. Gravity's going to win. That buttock is going to fall. You're going to end up with a diaper booty, which nobody wants. Nobody wants a diaper booty or an ant booty. And we started talking about this about 4 years ago now. And when I first started doing this, actually, I got a lot of negative feedback sometimes. Like, oh, it's not big enough. The change is not, it's not a vixen look. How come, why is Dr. Earl not doing like these big, vixen looks, okay? Why? Well, I think, you don't want anything that looks like too fake, like it doesn't belong, and it's not something that's gonna last. And so we were able to foresee this. And so, yeah, now we get a lot of patients coming back for their BBL reversals. It's typically not our patients, because when you have that upside down heart with that enhanced natural shape, that's a shape that's gonna last for many years to come, okay? And putting all this together brought us to what is now our signature South Beach butt lift, okay? And that, South Beach butt lift, and that you only get at Pure. It's our little trademark here. Only at Pure Plastic Surgery are you able to get the South Beach butt lift, which combines a lot of these things here, okay? It combines that beautiful upside down heart with that enhanced natural look. But on top of that, we've decreased the number of incisions to very minimal incisions, all in very hidden locations, such that if you're wearing a bikini in South Beach, even if you go topless, you can't see any of the entry sites, okay? So that just takes it one step further, where you have this beautiful enhanced result, no visible entry sites, so if nobody really know whether you had surgery or not, okay? It's that great, okay? And then of course, we have the upside down heart, the enhanced natural, the little incisions, and of course the ultrasound, which I use for all my BBLs, whether it's a South Beach butt lift or BBL. Everybody uses, I use the ultrasound because safety is the #1 priority. And that's where we came up with the South Beach butt lift, only available here at Pure. All right, so that has a lot to do with the BBL and its evolution and how we were the first to do many of these things. And now, you may have heard me talk, I believe it was only last week, we're one of the first here in Florida to have Ovally. Ovally is the device that now we're using for cellulite. It's relatively new, but it shows a lot of promise. We're really excited about this device. I think it's going to provide long-lasting results for your cellulite treatment, okay? And it works really well. Can be done under local here in the clinic. Doesn't necessarily require any sort of anesthesia or anything like that. So we're excited about the Ovally. We have that available here. One of the first clinics in South Florida to do so, okay? And what is it? And then lastly on this, it's not so much about technique, but you hear a lot of places out there now, they want to say, oh, this is safe, we're safe here, okay? Because of course they've heard me talk about it, so they want to kind of put it out there. But it's not just about talking, right? You can't just like talk the talk and not walk the walk. So how do you prove that? Of course, you prove that by your results. You prove that by your low complication rates, okay? And if you want to have that validated, you get a certificate from the Joint Commission, okay? Our OR here at Pure, one of the first and only office-based surgery settings that are Joint Commission or JCO certified. That is the highest level of a certification that an office-based OR can get, okay? So we're not just, Department of Health is a baseline, and then you have Quad ASF, and then you have JCO. And that's where we're at, okay? So we're not just talking the talk, okay? We walk the walk, and we get that validated by a very important, people such as those at the Joint Commission, okay? All right. What about education? Okay, what about our patients? We were some of the first. We have many firsts here as well. These lives, this that I'm doing right now, which now you see in a whole bunch of other places, we were the first to do this. Educational lives for plastic surgery. Okay, we were definitely one of the first to do it, one of the ones that made it popular, because it's not just about getting people in, taking their money, and whatever happens after happens. Definitely it's not about that. Okay, it's about patient safety, patient communication, and patient education. So we focused on that from the beginning, and we've been doing these educational lives, for about 5 years now. You can look back, go back to our YouTube channel, 2019, 2018. Okay, many years ago, one of the first to do these educational lives, okay? And on top of that, we then created our Facebook group, okay? One of the first Facebook groups actually be run by the surgeon, okay? And whose purpose is not like gossip and negativity, which you see in a lot of the groups out there, but the purpose of the group is actually for support, for an education of our patients, okay? And to have a positive outlook where, I'm involved, the other, some other staff members are Pure and involved, but the pearls, right? The Earl's pearls are OG pearls, are initial patients that have gone through this, maybe perhaps more than once. They're also very actively involved in helping, supporting, and educating the other members as they come through this surgery journey. Okay, one of the most positive and helpful groups out there. If you want to join, it's on Facebook. Just look for Earl Pearls Community. And if you really want good information, good support, good education, that's what this group is about. Okay, it's not about negativity. It's not about trolling. It's not about bashing. Okay, we don't want any of that. Okay, so one of the first there as well. And because we want to, or have always wanted to give back to our patients, okay, we're the first to create a loyalty membership rewards program. So the Pure Loyalty Rewards Program, that's only, as far as I know, we're the only practice that does that. I don't know of any other practice that does this, giving back to their patients. So those patients that are members of the Loyalty Rewards Program, they get steep discounts, they get grandfather pricing, they get all sorts of great benefits for being, part of the Loyalty Rewards Program there. It's a great program, but you can only join once you've had your first surgery and as being a part of the Earl Pearl community as well. Okay, but if you want more details for that, if you're already part of our Facebook group, you can get more details there in the group. Okay. I was one of the first people to join the World Association of Gluteal Surgeons. Okay, this has been in effect. Basically, this society has been in effect again also since approximately 2019. I was the first members of the society, one of the original members of the society, and now currently I'm the president of the World Association of Gluteal Surgeons. Right? Thank you. Yeah, any likes, any dinosaurs for that? We'll definitely
likes.
All right. But it is, again, it's all, as you can see, there's a theme here. What is the World Association of Gluteal Surgeons? It's a group of like-minded surgeons who, of course, do gluteal surgery, a lot of fat transfer, but also implant, but basically buttock surgery. Who really the purpose of the society is to inform and educate other surgeons on what are the safest techniques for this procedure. Okay, and it's not just in the U.S. but international. We have members from all over the world. Okay, from basically all the Americas, so North, Central, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, pretty much throughout the world we have members. Okay. And what we do is we try to educate those, of course, that are within society, but also outside society, in the techniques that are going to make this procedure, the BBL, making it safe. And of course, one of the key things with that is the use of the ultrasound. Okay? So as part of the World Association of Gluteal Surgeons, we definitely want everybody, every member, and basically every surgeon out there that does this procedure to use the ultrasound so that we can increase the safety profile of the procedure. Okay, which brought us to the first and only, okay, WAGS ultrasound BBL course. Okay, as far as I know, we have the only live patient ultrasound guided BBL course in the whole United States. Okay, I don't know of any other course out there. We have surgeons from all over the place that come down here to Florida. They come actually here to Pure, okay, when we spend a whole Saturday together where I'm showing them how to use the ultrasound, and we're doing it with a live patient, okay, in real time. The best form of education that you can get, okay, so that then we can spread this use of the ultrasound throughout the world to make this BBL procedure safer and safer and safer, okay? And talking about that, our next course is going to be, I believe, April 1st, so it's coming up. We're really excited about it. We have about 4 or 5 surgeons coming in for that course, and there's going to be a lot more coming out as we get closer. All right? So as you can see here, multiple firsts regarding both technique and education, and all guided really towards one big thing, which is patient safety, of course, reproducible, long-lasting results, beautiful results as well. Okay, which brings me to, you guys may have seen, throughout the years that they call me the GOAT, right? And that is not something that we call ourselves. It's actually our patients, but this started back many years ago. Now I see several other surgeons kind of trying to imitate that as well, calling themselves the GOAT. But you can see here, I'm going to show you one of the trophies that I got from one of my patients, and look at this, 2019. Okay, it's been around for a while. All right. So since 2019, the patients have been giving me this endearing term, which I like, and I like using the little goat and everything else. But now, other people are calling themselves that. So, given my age and the fact that, has been going on for about 5 years or so, now I think I gotta be called the OG. So the same way that we have our OG pearls, I am now the OG, the original goat, okay, to differentiate myself from everybody else. Okay? All right, well, I think that was a lot of talking, okay? But I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Okay, you got a dinosaur, so
Yeah,
thanks.
all right.
Okay,
Love that.
and Doug, we have to be like quick with the answers because we have a lot.
Okay, all right, let's go.
Okay,
Shoot.
let's go. What qualifies someone for a mini tummy tuck?
Right, so mini tummy tuck is not for everybody. It's actually for a very small segment of the patient population. So it's someone who, number one, doesn't have that diastasis, that muscle separation. So no muscle separation, no muscle weakness. The muscles are good, they're intact, they're strong, and all you have is a little bit of excess skin below the belly button. Okay, and that's really all that we're doing with the mini tummy tuck. We're just removing a little bit of skin below the belly button. We're not moving the belly button. There's no scar around the belly button, and we're not doing a muscle repair.
How long do you have to wait to get a BBL after a mommy makeover at TikTok?
Yeah, great. So that's a great question. So I typically like to wait at least 3 to 4 months. Okay, and that's the right way to do it. I recommend the mommy makeover first or the tummy tuck first. And then come back 3 to 4 months later and you can get your BBL.
Can you do filler right after the Avali treatment?
A filler to the buttock itself? So typically you won't need a filler. That's what the whole treatment's about, right? So you have the cellulite dimple. What's causing the dimple are these attachments that are attaching that skin to the underlying muscle. And so what the Avali does is that it cuts those attachments and it allows that skin to come up. And so therefore, typically you won't need a filler for that area after that.
Okay. For a BBL, does the patient have to be at certain BMI to achieve better results?
Well, there is a BMI range, okay? So for the BBL, you typically have to be between a BMI of 21 and 30. So 30 is my max BMI. I don't go above that, okay? Now, if you want to ask, what is the most ideal range for the BBL, it'd probably be somewhere kind of right in the middle, somewhere between 24, 25, 26 in that area. But anywhere between 21 and 30 is okay.
There is any way to avoid doggy ears with a tummy tuck, or is all based on surgeon technique? Thank you.
So it's based on several factors. One of them is certainly, technique. The other one has to do, again, with the patient's skin quality or skin laxity as well. So there are a few factors that come into play. The one thing that you should know is that sometimes in order to try to avoid the dog ear, you have to extend that incision, right? So if the patient doesn't want the incision to go very, very long, sometimes they may have to accept a certain degree of dog ear there. So the way to avoid it though, sometimes we do have to go kind of around the corner and a little bit towards the back to try to then minimize the potential risk of the dog ear.
Can you get implants if you get a breast reduction?
Yeah, technically yes, but keep this in mind. If we're adding an implant, right, we're adding some volume back, so it's not going to be as much of a reduction, right? Say for example, I'm reducing a breast and I can remove 1,000 grams, okay, which is a big reduction. But then I'm adding an implant that's 300 cc's, that's about 300 grams. So the net total reduction is only 700 grams, okay? As opposed to if we don't do the implant, then you get your 1,000 grams removed. I hope that makes sense. But the whole point is you add some volume back when you put the implant.
Why are no stimulants allowed pre and post op?
Oh yes, great question. So definitely no stimulants, no amphetamines, no phentermine. So what are the common stimulants? They're the ones that are used for weight loss, sometimes the ones that are used for like ADHD and things of that nature. Why can we not have them around general anesthesia? Because they can lead to arrhythmias and issues with the heart, okay? Which can then lead to a potential heart attack and can be very dangerous. So we definitely check for those, and if it's positive, then we will have to postpone the surgery.
Those Lipo 360 includes the upper back?
So Lipo 360 includes most of the back to above the bra line, so about this area here, from there all the way down. The only thing in the back that it does not include is what we call the buffalo hump, all the way up here. Okay, so if you have excess fat in that area, then it's considered an additional area.
Okay. Is it possible to have AVLE during a BBL?
Alright, so we talked about this a little bit last week. It's only possible if where you have that cellulite dimple is not really in the area that we have to expand, okay? But what you don't want to do is release the band and put fat in it, because then you're going to create this kind of lake of fat that's not going to survive. So it's either going to form like a fat necrosis, or sometimes can get infected, so you have to be very careful with that. Sometimes it can create a little blowout, which is not good as well, okay? So if you have a dimple, say, in an area that's away from where we have to put in the fat, then potentially we can do it. But for most patients, it's better to stage those procedures and have your, for example, your ovule first, and then come back and do your BBL.
Do you combine lipo with breast implants?
Sometimes we do, depending on the patient and how big the patient is, really. So that's our what we call our Miami makeovers, and we'll do like a liposuction and breast augmentation. Typically, it's like a lipo 180 with HD, high definition, and then your breast augmentation. But here's the key: in Florida, once we make an incision like we do for that breast augmentation, then we're limited to only 1,000 cc's of fat removal via liposuction. Okay, so we are limited there. So that's why it has to be the right patient. Typically, a lower BMI patient, where those 1,000 cc's are going to make a significant difference.
I like this one. How long, if I'm out of state, can I travel back home after a BBL?
Great. So you have to be here with us a minimum of 5 days post-op. Okay, that's very, very important. You cannot leave before then. If you leave before then, you'll be leaving what we consider AMA, against medical advice. Okay, so you have to be here a minimum of 5 days post-op before you travel back home, which means that your whole stay is usually about a week, because you have your day before surgery, which is pre-op, and you have surgery day, and then 5 days post-op.
Can you have lipo in the abdominal area 3 to 4 months after abdominoplasty?
Yeah, certainly. So, and that we actually kind of recommend that. So if you have loose skin, it's best to get your tummy tuck first, and then come back 3 to 4 months later and do your Lipo 360 or BBL.
Okay, this is a new word for me. Under boob lipo. Can you under boob lipo be done with breast lift augmentation?
With a breast augmentation?
Yeah. Should be like here, right?
Yeah. So a lot of times, women and patients, they don't like that kind of very stubborn fat that's overlying the ribs just beneath the breast. And so sometimes, we do need to lipo that area. And if you wanted to do it, at the time of breast augmentation, that would be possible, yes.
Okay, this is the same patient who asked about the traveling. She says that she lives 3 hours away, and if she can travel back home after a day or two, or would you still recommend staying the week?
So I would probably still recommend staying the week for, we get a lot of patients from the Orlando area. And ideally they stay here also till post-op day 5. Okay, it's a lot of driving to go back and forth, and we need to see the patient post-op day 1 and post-op day 5, so it doesn't really make sense to to kind of do that drive during that time. Plus, we want to make sure that you stay close in case there's any issues, so that we can take care of you right away.
Okay, Doc. There's a patient asking about micro error
Yes.
and body type.
Yeah, so micro-air is the type of liposuction that we do. It's technically called PAL, P-A-L, which stands for Power Assisted Liposuction, okay? And what does that mean? Well, it's because it vibrates, it kind of moves back and forth, and that helps us, with the liposuction. It makes it easier for the surgeon and for the joints when we use that, okay? But it has no form of formal energy, right? It's not a laser, it's not no heat, no ultrasound, nothing like that, okay? So we use the micro-air, but then if you want skin tightening, right, that's where the body tight comes in. So we do the liposuction with the micro-air first, then we want to get that skin to retract, so then we add the body tight after to help with that.
Okay, How long can you do lipo once in remission after chemo and radiation?
Okay, so that's a question that's gonna really, it's gonna be on a patient kind of case by case basis, all right? So it depends on, what was the original tumor, why are you in the chemo and the radiation, how did you, do during that time, what's your current white blood cell count, has your immune system bounced back, are you currently on any immunosuppressive medications? All these factors come into play. So I can't give you kind of a straight answer on that. It's going to depend on all these things, and so we'll have to take that on a case-by-case basis. All right, that's it. Oh, is it? No, 30 minutes already?
Yes, sir.
Oh my lord.
30 minutes, 20 seconds, and
Okay.
counting.
Well, things really flew by today, all right? I really enjoy these lives. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in, for sending all your questions. It's really been great. It's been my pleasure to do this for like the past about 4 or 5 years now, and to continue to do this moving forward. So I hope this was helpful. Just a little bit of a history lesson here for you all. But we're happy to talk about anything you want to talk about. So if you guys have ideas about what you want me to discuss, just let us know. We're happy to do a live about that as well. Okay, and I look forward to seeing all of you next week on Hump Day with Dr. Alex Earl. Ciao.